Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I want to talk about the Washington Commanders injuries and how I'm a little bit concerned about how this is all playing out heading into the Commanders 2025 season. We'll also be talking about Terry Mclaurin getting off the PUP list, which is really good news. A leaked kind of contract that came out. I want to slow everyone's roll a little bit on that one. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, do all that good stuff. We're like 250 away from 16K, really trying to hit that before the start of the season. I know we can do it. It takes a few seconds, guys. Go ahead and do it. But let's get into it. So the Commanders, the thing is, right, obviously heading into training camp, you're going to be pretty healthy overall. And the Commanders were. They had Sam Cosmi, who was injured, and they kind of had Noah Brown, who was a little bit injured. But the thing is, Noah Brown, this whole situation's been very interesting to me because he's hurt in OTAs or minicamp, whenever that was in June, and then comes back, and during the start of training camp he was playing and he was practicing. From what I remember, he was running routes and everything. Now he's not doing that, so there had to be a setback, and they haven't really disclosed that. I'm sure it's the same injury, but he's been out for at least 2 weeks. And that obviously is concerning. That's one of your starting outside receivers. Sam Cosmi, he's an important piece, but this was expected. So I'm not really going to get into Sam Cosmi too much because we knew he was going to be out for the start of the season. And if he wasn't, that would be a crazy, comeback from the injury. And he's doing well, according to all the reports. He's ahead of schedule. But still, you would like to have him out there, but again, we weren't expecting that necessarily. Brandon Coleman, he's been injured, I believe, since before the Patriots joint practice, which it's been over a week since that's happened. And we really just didn't get any updates from whenever that injury happened, and there's been no progression. He hasn't been out there doing, whatever, some of the drills. He just hasn't. So that has been concerning. That's your starting left guard. So you're out, you don't have your starting left guard, you don't have your starting right guard. And there's been no evidence of any progression from Brandon Coleman. And, they don't have to make, things public and everything, and, they shouldn't necessarily. But he missed a preseason game against the Patriots, and he's now missing this game against the Bengals. And, the starters are playing in that game. So, it's not like, he missed the first game because they're resting the starters. No, he wasn't healthy for that one, and he's not healthy for this one. So, that's concerning. And we, again, no progression. I'm sure there's progression, but we haven't seen it. With Jordan McGee, and that's not a huge, he's super important piece to the team, but the Commanders do need depth at the linebacker position. I made a video about him yesterday, and he's not going to be playing in the Monday game, which I kind of told you guys yesterday that's what would happen. But we've at least seen some progression with him. Him being out there 2 practices in a row. He was there today, I believe, even so yesterday 2, and then the day before, so it might be 3. I don't know. But he's been out there with pads doing some individual work or something, and that's progression. So he's on the right track. He's still an injury-prone player from what we've seen, but it's good to see him back there. Marcus Mariota, I have no idea what is up with that. I know it's a lower leg injury, but the dude's been out for 3 weeks. I went to training camp 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago at least, more. And he had what I can't remember exactly. I think I went the 29th. So we're 18, 19 days from that, and he was hurt before that. So we're over 3 weeks since Marcus Mariota's been been playing. And that's your backup quarterback, man. You need your backup quarterback, and having him out before the start of the season is it's crazy. And it's not good news at all. And then you got Javonte Jean-Baptiste. Again, he's not a huge contributor, but it's a guy that you would like to see playing, a guy that showed flashes in his rookie year, but again struggled with injuries last year, and then now is struggling with injuries again. And that is a guy you want to see out there. My guess, probably IR for him. Jonathan Jones, your 4th corner on this team, a guy that is a really good backup. He's out. That's a recent one. I would like to say, it's probably nothing, and he should be good. But that's kind of what we thought with a lot of these other injuries, and it's been 1, 2, 3 weeks with some of these guys, and no sign of them coming back. So I don't want to like raise alarm bells and be like, oh, like it's the end of the world, the season's over, because it's not. But we're getting to the point with some of these injuries where it's like we're getting to that concerning territory where, is it going to, well, first of all, are these guys going to be ready for week one? I'm sure some of these guys will not. Sam Cosmi probably not, but we knew that. Noah Brown, it's trending in the direction that he's not going to be there for week one. Jordan McGee, maybe, but you're starting to get to that point where it's like, all right, these guys might not play week one. And even the guys that do play week one, you haven't played 3-4 weeks, and that's like down the stretch football in the off season where you're getting those important reps. And if you're not getting those, that hurts in terms of your football acclimation going into week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. So it might slow them down a little bit. I'm just not getting, it doesn't feel good with these injuries, in my opinion, especially with, it doesn't seem like progression. And we haven't like had any of these guys like, all right, they're back. You know what I mean? And it's been a few weeks. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm overreacting. But for me, it is a little bit, concerning. Let's go ahead and these are all the guys that are out for the Monday Night Football game, which don't even get me started on that. Why are the Commanders playing on Monday Night Football for their preseason game? Whatever. Let's see. I just want to go to the Jordan McGee tweet. So, I guess Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, that was like the one good injury news. Bill got hurt in the game a little bit, and he's ready. He's going to be playing on Monday. Jordan McGee out here dressed for second consecutive day, but has yet to participate in team drills, working on the side field now. Maybe he did some individual drills. So that is at least, again, some progression. And then in terms of the PUP list for Terry, he wasn't at practice, but off the PUP list, which is good. It's not anything in terms of the contract details, but just take some pressure off of like, all right, like, is he going to be on this list for, the start of the season? So he's not. And, they can, try to get him to play. And, maybe he'll be out there just watching practice, or maybe he'll start to go back to practice, start to do some, side work maybe would be cool for like next week if he just starts doing side work. And the week after that, he's back practicing. That would be great. It would be great if he gets a contract extension this week and he's back at practice, the next day, or, I guess maybe like Wednesday when they're back practicing after the game. But, who knows when that happens. I think my prediction was always like the 29th, 30th of August, in that range, 31st of August. So who knows? So Ricky right here, I will say take all of this with a grain of salt. I'm not saying this is, happening or anything, or this is a credible source. A lot of people, they're ride or die with Ricky, and they think he's, better than Schefter, like on par with him. And, he reported Terry is about to get a new deal from the Commanders worth $30 million per year. Extension should be completed before the season. Details are still being finalized. Again, take it with a grain of salt. The guy has predicted things in the past pretty early. But at the same time, it's not like he's saying something crazy. Like, he's just saying, all right, because this is a tweet anyone can make. All right, Terry is getting a new deal worth $30 million per year, and it should be completed before the season. Well, he's not saying it's happening today, tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's a very loose prediction. And also, going back to my tweet, this was him on March 9th. Jeremy Chin's re-signing with the Commanders. And basically what I tweeted is, he's read a lot, but he's been wrong before, and specifically about this team. So, that Jeremy Chin signing, that involved the command, he predicted that, he would go to the Commanders. And also, a lot of people aren't talking about it, but that deal also involved Buddy Baker, because Buddy Baker is Jeremy Chin's agent. So I don't know if he's the best source for a Terry McLaurin, extension. But also maybe at the same time, maybe Buddy Baker was the one who told him this news. I don't know, reading way too much into it. But I would just say, don't get your hopes up too much just from this tweet, or I guess the tweet that him saying Terry's extended, maybe it's true, and it increases hope a little bit. But again, this isn't a guy that is affiliated with anyone and has, we don't know if he has, real sources. Again, he's been right in the past with a lot of extensions and stuff like that, but he has been wrong before, so take it with a grain of salt. But that is it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys new, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss a video. Peace.